Welcome back to Idaho Today. You may have heard the catchy jingle, "Nobody knows like Zamzow's," and honestly, I think it's true. This family-owned and operated business has deep roots in our community with a strong foundation and knowledge that comes from experience and study. Knowledge that has not only led to the development of innovative product solutions customized for specifically Idaho, but knowledge that they are eager to share with you, so you too can have a successful lawn, garden, or orchard. We recently visited Jim Zamzow's own personal garden to get some soil tips for the fall, so you too can know like Zamzow's. Jim Callie Zamzow's has been a staple in our community for almost 90 years. That's some deep roots, right? Okay, and so Jim, tell us about your grandparents establishing this family-owned and operated business.
Well, my grandparents had a farm, which was over on the corner of Franklin and Cole Road. In 1929, they actually lost the farm during the Great Depression when the crash started. They took what little money they had after they sold the farm, and they bought this small feed store at the corner of Liberty and Fairview, which is where our Fairview store is now. They sold feed, which they hand mixed on the ground, basically with a shovel and a fork, and one of them shoveled it into the bag and the other one sewed it up, and that's how they got started.
All right, so they planted the seed, if you will, of what has grown to this incredible family-owned and operated business today. And you had mentioned that store is still there.
Still there.
That location is still there. And they sold feed, a couple other things. How does the products they sold then differ from what you sell now, or is it the same?
Well, you know, they always made products the very best they knew how. Just like we do today, we don't make products for economics. In other words, we don't make them as cheap as we can to make money. We make them as high quality as we can for performance. And then we sell them with whatever the traffic will bear on that product. But our business is to make our customers successful, and our job is to help them be successful. And if we do that, like Grandma used to say, then you'll be successful in your business.
I love that. So it's about education, right? Nobody knows like Zamzow's. And you, over the time of almost 90 years, have created your own products that actually enrich the soil here in Idaho, and there's a big focus on it being environmentally friendly. Why did you find it important to create something like that?
You know, it's been kind of in our blood. Grandma was that way from the get-go. All of our heritage was farming, all the way from migration from Europe to here, and then farming in the United States, primarily in Idaho. They learned how to grow things in the desert in Idaho that most people didn't know how to grow. So Grandma learned some things about the soil and about compost and those types of things. And I, of course, got my degree. I learned all about the chemicals, the pesticides and things like that. Was well educated. And after multiple years of using those systems, I started finding that they were failing. You need to be doing things to build your soil up. Soil's either getting better or it's getting worse. And in your case, when you're using chemical fertilizers. So that concerns me about even agriculturally. I think we need to get back and start teaching our agronomists how to get life back into their soil. I think it's very important.
Yeah, so it's about biology then, right?
All about biology.
Yeah, and so why is it important though that people put biologically correct products on their gorgeous gardens like yours right here, their lawns, their trees, their shrubs?
Well, if you use too much chemical fertilizer, usually chemical nitrogen, for every pound of nitrogen you put on the soil, you burn out about 20 pounds of carbon, which is your humus, which is what is the microbe food. All the microbial balance comes from having the carbon in the soil. When you remove the carbon from the soil, you basically kill the microbes. The microbes are the ones that are building the substances that hold water. They build the antibodies and the antibiotics that protect them from things, which in turn protects the plants from diseases. So as you lose the humus in your soil, you start getting more insects, more disease, more weeds, because your turf, if you will, starts to thin out, so you get more crabgrass, you get more weeds that come in, and you basically are caught in what I call the cycle of death. So you're either working on the cycle of life like this,
Yes.
or the cycle of death, which means your soil is getting worse and worse all the time.
And I was going to say, he deep dives into the science. I think I have a 15-year-old, so everything I'm just kind of like cut to the chase, Mom. I think it's about our rivers, and I think that, you know, just in today's speaking, it's environmentally friendly. It's so that the next generation has something that, you know, they can grow and they can still produce, because we haven't just killed everything off and ruined it. And even if we do a little of that, we have solutions to bring it back, because it's not too late. We can always bring it back as long as we have the tools.
I've learned so much talking to both of you, so where can our viewers go so they can know like Zamzow's?
Well, we have 13 stores in the valley that they could go to any one of them and talk to one of our experts, or they could go to zamzows.com.